You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Wednesday, November 6th, 2019, middle of the weekday, hump day, starting that long, slow glide down to Powwow on a Friday, and whatever is about to, show up next here. It's raining here in Indiana, and so we're staying indoors and staying dry here. Meanwhile, our phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. That's 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, ready to answer the phone, put you on the air with your comments, questions, and opinions. So getting right on into it, the situation in Washington, D.C. continues to deteriorate. Everybody's now screaming over the whistleblower and what the guy's name is, although it's already being reported it's Eric Ciaramella. And they're saying he's got to be anonymous. He's got to be anonymous. And then the other side is saying whistleblowers are never anonymous. They have to be called on to testify and be subject to cross-examination, just like everybody else. So Rand Paul is out there saying it's time to subpoena this Eric Ciaramella because he may be involved in the corrupt Ukrainian dealings. And he's not talking about Trump. He's talking about Biden and Biden Jr. So it's always a danger when you go after the president for crimes you yourself have committed. Corporate media has lost the ability to say, oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtains here. You want to go after Donald Trump. We're making the case against Donald Trump. He's a bad person. We need to get rid of him, and you've got to help us. All right, well, Adam Schiff, who, as it turns out, is a distant relation of George Soros, has announced the first public impeachment hearings for next week. And Mr. Star Chamber himself will be trying to prove just how clever he is next week. Now, they're already releasing excerpts of the transcripts of the behind closed door testimony. They're sending them out to the corporate media. Basically trying to pre-sell the American people on the idea that Trump did something bad. We'll tell you what it is next week. But for right now, for the rest of this week and for the weekend, just say Trump bad, Orange man bad, Orange man bad. And it's just pure propaganda. It really, really is. And the poll numbers in support of impeachment continue to decline. And I think it's a combination of the fact that the Democrats are demonstrating they don't really have a case, along with the fact that we, the American people, we're just tired of hearing about all this stuff. Getting bored. We're getting impeachment burnout here. Now, the Democrats have dropped this whole quid pro quo rhetoric now that it came on out that the government of Ukraine was unaware that the aid had been held up. And the question would be, who held up the aid? Was it really Obama or was it Biden? But now the story has shifted one more time. Now it's Trump is guilty of extortion and he's guilty of bribery. So they're still out there just thrashing around trying to find something that they can use to convince the American people Trump must go. And it's not working. Poll numbers are against them. And this is going to backflash on them next year. The voters look back and see just how badly the Democrats behaved during this whole situation. All right, we're going to take a phone call now from Joe in Alaska. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, thank you. Nice to talk to you again. I wanted to touch upon climate change business around here. It's evident to everyone here that the ice is definitely receding. But And do you remember some report that released? I think I remember hearing you laugh about it. That the heat is hiding at the bottom of the ocean.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens when you warm up the water and cool the air? You get a lot more snow, a lot more rain, and a lot more storms. Okay. Now, about this heat that's hiding at the bottom of the ocean. And so I'm touching upon geophysics here. I remember you laughing. Well, I don't know about laughing, but you were placating people worried about Kilauea and saying it's not a part of the Ring of Fire, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
So I immediately thought to myself, oh, no, of course it's not part of the Ring of Fire. It's the crown jewel. But the point is, there's a lot more volcanoes under the ocean than there are on the surface. The ones on the surface are going pretty nuts right now. And so the heat isn't hiding at the bottom of the ocean. It's coming from the bottom of the ocean. And it's definitely, the air is definitely getting colder according to the Maunder minimum or grand solar minimum. I mean, anyway, the natives up here are, of course, totally wedded to the, well, originally it was the global warming scenario and then changed to climate change, as you pointed out. But the point being, they're just lobbying for money. Money,
Yes.
money. It's all about the bucks.
Yes.
And I went into, okay, last week in the Nome Nugget, a climatologist came out here and he pointed out the average daily temperatures in Nome have been going down.
Yep.
Linear down for the last 100 years. Last winter, we had record snowfalls here.
Yes.
And yeah, it was a lot warmer and a lot snowier. But the previous year was a record cold. So anyway, did I bring up that study from UAF about WTC 7 ever? Can you?
Go ahead. Enlighten us.
Well, yeah, it hadn't been in the media, but the University of Alaska Fairbanks
Yes.
did a computerized study on World Trade Center 7 collapse.
Yes.
And they concluded that it wasn't possible for fire to have brought those that building down. And you can get their study, and you can also find some newspaper reports out there, but it's being suppressed big time.
Yes, it is.
And,
Not here. We reported on it when the story first broke.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I'm preaching to the choir there. But I went into the senior center here in Nome because actually I'm a senior myself. And on National Grump Day, get this. And
I didn't realize there was a National Grump Day. That should be an important holiday to me, and I missed it.
Sorry, but I didn't. Given that it was National Grump Day, and given that I've been labeled antisocial and and worse, a wizzled old geezer. Anyway, I got up and I informed all the old folks there, and most of them, it just went right over their head because, you know, they serve free lunches there. That's what's going on there for the elders. And of course, my my cooking habits don't include the kind of food they serve because I don't trust them, and I run all my water through filters because of the fluoride.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you need to be
but
careful
anyway.
because not all water filters will filter out the fluoride.
Well, the Berkey system has
Yes.
a
Yes.
a pretty good system. Anyway, yeah, you should get them for an advertiser. But anyway, I guess that's about all I needed to say. Well, the Southwest Pacific is what's lighting up the most right now with volcanoes and
Yes.
earthquakes. And coincidentally, that's the area that those data buoys that my father put out there were measuring the El Nino. He's
Yes.
the one that made El Nino a household. He's also the one that took the Coast and Geodetic Survey away from the Department of the Interior and formed his own branch of the non-armed services, or the, shall we say, senior executive services,
Yes.
as the director of the Environmental Research Lab in Boulder for NOAA. Anyway, and my brother even got a nepotistic appointment to the NOAA Corps, and so he went to Piney Point, and anyway. These people are all lost, and my father is Satan himself. But he's dead now, but I'm sure Trump is making a bid for that also. I'm a nonpartisan basher, equal opportunity basher. That's me.
Yes.
And yeah, I voted for Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate, just because I wanted to say, hey, it's not my fault. I voted.
Yep.
And furthermore, when he was at the primary debate and he was asked a question about Aleppo, that cinched it for me. His answer was, what's Aleppo? And I go, well, obviously no one's telling him what to say. I'm voting for him. Anyway, that's a little taste of my cynicism there, in case you were maybe jonesing for some of that. Hey, have a nice day. I love your program.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. We're going to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. And yeah, I mean, you go back to the 1990s when this whole global warming thing got started, and they were making all these dire predictions about what was going to happen, none of which have come true. And now they've had to abandon the polar bear as their mascot because, far from being an endangered species, they have grown so populous, they're now considered pests. In some parts of Canada, you can now legally hunt a polar bear and have a polar bear rug, which would be a nice thing to have during these cold weekends here. All right, getting on back to our domestic politics here. The government is misrepresenting the Flynn evidence. We know that the FBI altered the FD 302. The FBI tried to explain it away, saying, well, we kind of lost the original and we recreated it, but materially, it says the same thing. But what it's come on down to is the government saying, we're not giving you the documents basically because we don't want to. And that's not the way they're supposed to operate. Now, General Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, is moving ahead to petition the judge to dismiss the entire case for egregious government conduct. And I hope he gets it. This prosecutor should be held in contempt. It was a railroad job. Okay, my camera's acting up again. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, well, it'll snap back in sooner or later. All right, a lot of people still talking about this latest Project Veritas video regarding this ABC News anchor who said, we had the Epstein story. We had it years ago, including Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton and the rest of it, and ABC management would not let us run with it. And so now YouTube is actively removing views from the Project Veritas Epstein video and deliberately censoring it from the trending page. Got to protect our buddies over there in the corporate media. Okay. I don't know why the camera's acting weird, but it is. Here we go. Okay, so corporate media executives were part of this network of people that covered up for Jeff Epstein. And ABC and other mainstream media outlets refused to cover accusations against sex predator Jeffrey Epstein because a network of people that includes top executives were implicated. This is coming out of James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. So the Disney-owned network, meaning ABC, has doubled down on its insistence that anchor Amy Robach's story on Epstein 3 years ago lacked, quote, enough corroboration and thus wasn't aired. Now, this is a little hypocritical because look at all the stuff ABC aired without any corroboration whatsoever, like Saddam's nuclear weapons and Assad's sarin gas and all these allegations against Donald Trump. They didn't wait for corroboration on any of that. But, you know, Jeff Epstein, well, he's a nice Jewish boy. We got to wait for corroboration on this one here. And apparently this Amy Robach is 100% convinced that Epstein was murdered, that he did not commit suicide. I'm still not sure. I think he's actually alive somewhere. They faked his death and they got him on out, and he's over in Israel or down in the Caymans because it's the only way to keep his dead man switches from activating, which a man in his position, you would have that. Now, interestingly enough, very strange circumstance. Former Palm Beach detective Joseph Ricari, the detective who led the original Epstein investigation, suffered a brief illness at 50 and has passed away. No details whatsoever. So the wet work is beginning. All right, let's talk about the international news here. Apparently, Syrian forces have arrived at the oil field claimed by President Trump, being dispatched around the northeast Syrian province of Hasaka, aiming to basically shore up defenses in villages around the area, ostensibly to try and prevent invading Turkey from pushing deeper into Syria beyond the already claimed safe zone. But it's bringing Syrian forces and U.S. forces into close proximity at a time when, from Syria's point of view, the United States is committing an act of international piracy. And I can understand why the U.S. military in that part of the world is just getting so confused at what's going on. Apparently, Turkey's state-run media is reporting that the U.S. is planning 2 new military bases in Syria's oil-rich Deir ez-Zor province, which are currently under construction. And the fact that they're being honest about it doesn't make it all right. I mean, at first we were told we had to go into Syria because Assad was gassing his own people. And that turned out to be a fake. And then was, we're there to fight ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And then it turned out ISIS and Al-Qaeda were actually working covertly for the United States. So now I guess the attitude in Washington, D.C. is, all right, we'll admit it. We're there for the oil. What are you going to do about it? That seems to be their attitude right now. Over in France, 2 schools have been set on fire and the police attacked as mobs of 20 to 30 riot. This happened on Halloween night, and it appears to, again, be a continuation of the yellow vests. All right, we're going to take a break here for commercials. And when we come on back, more news and hopefully more phone calls. 800-313-9443. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to talk about the economic news here for a while. And probably most of you have already noticed there are now two camps regarding the economy. And camp number one is saying, everything's fine. It's all great. Relax. It's all taken care of. And camp number two is saying, are you kidding? We can see the signs of an imminent implosion all around us. What's wrong with you? Anyway, apparently this possibility of a phase one deal with China in the trade war has basically faded away. And as a result, stocks, soybeans, and the yuan plunge in the U.S.-China trade deal delay. And apparently the issue is that final terms have not been agreed to. They can't even agree on a venue where they're going to meet. Shows you how far apart they really are here. Over at Uber, the stock lockup has expired and the insiders are dumping millions in shares. And so Uber crashed to a new record low. Apparently 763 million additional shares, 20 billion with a B of Uber stock will hit the market. See what's going to happen over there. Alrighty. Over at the Securities and Exchange Commission, Clayton wants to slash investor safeguards in order to entice more companies to go public. But heck with protecting the investors, we just need people to be ready to buy that stock when the IPOs hit. It's always the last resort. When the economy is heading down, find a way to soak the people who are always made to pay for all here. Now, this is an article that came on out. This was in an Investment Watch blog, and the headline is very telling. It says, consumers plan for record holiday spending. And if you believe that one, I have some of Saddam's nuclear weapons to sell you. This is the beginning of the propaganda run-up to basically flog the American consumer back into the shopping malls and buy a whole bunch of stuff for just checking. All right. So from now through Christmas, we're going to be hearing about, oh, it's a great Christmas season. Everybody's buying. And yet we know that the retailers have been cutting their orders. Trucking volume is down. You normally don't see that during the holiday seasons in a healthy economy. Corporate media's job is to help flog us back into those malls, spend money that we don't have to buy things we don't really need for people we're not even really sure we like. So, reminds me of another Tom Lehrer song, the Christmas song. Talks about a matching pen and pencil. Just the thing I need. How nice. Poor Boeing. They have really messed up what used to be a great company. I mean, we've had the 737 MAX issues with the engines and the flight controls. Now we're having issues with the 737 NX with wing cracks. And now there's a whistleblower who's come forward saying that on the 787, the oxygen system is not reliable. And that if the cabin were to suffer a sudden decompression, that as many as 1/4 of the oxygen masks would not deploy. So yes, let's fire those old legacy engineers and bring in more of those H-1B workers from across the seas. All right, we're going to take a phone call from Mark in North Carolina. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, what's going on? Hey, Mike, yesterday, guy, after I was hung up, I think the guy's name was Mike or something like that, made some comments about me, about things I said, and I just want to answer. First of all, one of them was about socialism. When I said, the way we're going, we might be better off with socialism than the predatory capitalism that we've got right now. And you just pretty much mentioning it, right? You're making examples right now. And he said, well, that socialism never worked. And it's not true. One place it worked very well was in Libya before we bombed the crap out of them and wind up killing Gaddafi. And it was working fine. They had a very high standard of living. All. The other is, of course, Venezuela. Under when Chavez took over, he actually turned everything around. Majority, this is something they don't tell you. They say, well, Venezuela is really rich. No, it wasn't. There were some rich people there, but the majority of the people were living in poverty. Chavez turned that around. But again, because of the sanctions they're putting on, of course, the place isn't working. The other place
Mark.
is Tito.
Mark, I got to put you on hold. Don't hang up. I'm going to put you on hold. We got to take a break for commercials. We will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the 7 seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Mark in North Carolina. And Mark, there's a different name for predatory capitalism. It's called fascism. And, you know, fascists love the fascistic system because all the wealth and power and control flow to them, and there's nothing left over for the ordinary people. And that's why socialism and fascism are mortal enemies. And anytime a country tries to go socialist, they're going to be attacked. That's why the United States overthrew the socialist government of Allende in Chile. Remember Henry Kissinger's comment, the issues are too important to leave up to the Chilean voters. It's their country.
They were very successful under Tito, but then after Tito died, the CIA, the NGOs, and all these others, and of course Russia was very weak at that point. They sent their to cause disruption there in Yugoslavia, and the whole place broke up. So so it's just not true. I mean, I'm not saying we should have socialism, but again, I call it predatory capitalism because it eats up everything that's not nailed down. I know you could also call it fascism, you call it crony capitalism, but really what it comes down is it eats up everything. It even starts eating up the government itself. It starts running everything. And we're seeing that today with big tech companies, the big banks, the big oil companies, big pharma. big agra. They're poisoning us. They're doing everything, anything to make money and spit on the regular people in this country. And they're driving us into total bankruptcy now with their ridiculously low interest rates. It's not benefiting anybody but the fat cats. All right, that's all they're doing. That's why I call it predatory capitalism. And like I said, I'll take socialism over that. That's why I got two people I want to vote for, either Tulsi, and if I have to, I'll vote for Bernie Sanders. Nobody else. Trump disappointed me too much, and that reminds me of the guy. One of those guys was also saying, could have been Mike also, about justifying what Trump is doing in Syria. There's no justifying for that. There's no justification at all. It's theft. And God's army would take those oil fields in about a day if he had to. If we didn't stand in his way, ISIS isn't going to get a hold of that, and neither it occurred. Assad would take it over in no time. This is just theft, plain and simple. That's all Trump is doing. He's shaming this country by doing something like this. And you want to know an impeachable offense? That's an impeachable offense. Not the nonsense they're talking about Ukraine. They're the deep state is just trying to cover up for their own crime. And they'll do anything they can to succeed. That's pretty much it, Mike. I mean, like I said, I just want to, if this guy wants to call again, he wants to even have a three-way conversation, I'd gladly talk to
I
people.
think
By
after
the way,
the last three-way conversation we had, I'm going to avoid that because that kind of turned into a bit of a meltdown.
Yeah. Another thing, and I hope, by the way, who's on my YouTube, who actually found me on YouTube now? Cynthia McKinney on my YouTube channel.
Yep.
I'm very proud of that. I really respect her.
We've had her on the show, and I've known Cynthia for a lot of years.
Yeah, I know. I really, I think I just wish she was running for president, I'll be honest with you. That woman.
If she was, I'd support her.
Huh? Yeah, I would too. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've heard rumors that her and Jesse Ventura was going to run, but I think it's already just about too late for third parties to really get rolling,
Yeah.
Too bad, though. All right, Mike. Thought I'd tell you that, see if this guy wants to come back. And he was also putting down Dustin, too, which disgusts me because Dustin is a good guy. He's a patriot. He means well. He says he's got it down pat about Trump, So that's about it, Mike. Right?
All right. Thanks an awful lot, Mark. We're going to let you go. And we are going to switch over to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. Your ears must have been burning. What's on your mind?
I'm the devil today, I guess. Hey, Mike, Mike, I just want to say what Frank from New York, he was spot on yesterday of all, the failings Trump was supposed to do. And I'm wondering, Frank, did any of your silver shekels rust? Hey, Mike, what's that poster on the floor behind you? And also, what's that statue on your bookshelf? I'm just curious.
Well, the poster that's over on that side is from the magician David Copperfield from when he made the Statue of Liberty disappear. And that one is the crew shot from Star Trek The Motion Picture. And the little statue that's up there, I'm still getting this all organized, that's the Viking lander.
Yeah, Mike, I'm a big Star Trek fan. I never really cared for Star Wars. Star Trek was great. A lot of people didn't like the motion picture. I thought it was great. It was a great movie, but I guess it's not a shoot-'em-up, action-packed movie. It was, Star Trek movies are not really all about shoot-'em-ups.
Well, let's be brutally honest. Let's be brutally honest, because I worked on the first one. It was terrible filmmaking, and I was disappointed because when Robert Wise came on as the director, I figured we're going to have a really good movie because he had directed the original Day the Earth Stood Still. But we had so many problems with screenplays. And then after we got the movie shot, Paramount standards and practices people went through and literally cut out anything that could be offensive to anybody. And so what actually hit the theaters was a piece of junk. And, I say that, normally I should be, I am proud that I worked on it, but it did not produce a good product.
See, I liked it. I liked all of them. Yeah, it was a little slow and stuff, but I liked the story with V'ger right? V'ger and
Yes.
what's in that? All right. So getting back to what Mark, I'm gonna respond with you. You had this gentle lady from Massachusetts call in yesterday, and she was wrong on so many things, Mike. Like, first of all, talking about socialism, what Mark said, Trump socialist, he's a socialist because he was bailed out by the people in New Jersey when it came to Atlantic City with the casinos.
Yes.
Trump also bailed out with the Federal Reserve. He pumped in liquidity to the markets, to the banks, just this past couple of weeks and months. And he also gave socialism to the farmers because of the failed tariffs, the trade war. So, and she sounded like a Trump supporter, but Mike, she was so wrong on just everything because when you challenged her on like Sheldon Adelson, she didn't want to talk about that. Like, I mean, if you're getting your money from somebody, that means you have allegiance to somebody. Like you're if he has all this money, why is he getting money from Sheldon Adelson? You know, like what does he owe him? You know, because if you borrow money from somebody, you obviously owe somebody. You know, and also you challenged her on like John Bolton, and she goes, "We got to agree to disagree." Well, John Bolton and Frank from New York says this because I got to give kudos to him. John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, Bloody Gina Haspel, who ran the black, prison in Thailand.
Yes.
And also Elliot Abrams, who ran death squads. You know, like how do you explain that? You can't. You can't. You know, and I go back to saying, like I said before, Trump's battling a deep state, but there's multiple deep states and factions.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, Trump has put these people in. Trump also put in people from Monsanto, right? The ex-CEO or corporate heads to fund the USDA or the FDA or whatever. And also, he also put in didn't he put in somebody from Boeing who was like a stopgap for like the Secretary of Defense or something? I mean, corporatism is fascism, okay?
Yes.
Crony capitalism, corporatism, it's fascism. And if you put corporate heads in, and you're not putting, he hasn't put in any. Who has he put in from outside the Beltway, Mike? Like from the outside the establishment or the Beltway. These people are all part of that group. You know, the group that'll never invite us over for like a beer at their mansion. You know, they'll never invite us over for like the beluga they eat or the Kobe beef they eat probably every week. You know, like they're not in our sphere of influence. If you know. But I just don't understand how she can.
The phrase you're looking for is socioeconomic strata.
That's it. But she was just so wrong and everything. And then when she listed she didn't list anything Trump accomplished. Trump's trying, but they're blocking him. But what I keep saying when I call in, and I know a lot of people don't like to hear, is, but he put people in that are part of the establishment. Bob Barr is part of the establishment. Okay? You know what I mean? Like if you put people in that are part of that group, you're not going to get anything done. But why is he still putting those people in? Like, it's been 3 years in, but yet it's the same people of the same group in. So I don't know how to explain this, but I mean, maybe it's just all a rope-a-dope. I don't know. You know, like it's just a play on the American people, just like I'm leaving Syria only to come back. I mean, you got to be a moron to not figure out what's going on now. Okay, and Mike, on the economy, did you look at the liberal Drudge Report? Because I know some people don't like to hear the Drudge Report now because it's liberal. It's like about the manufacturing decline in the Rust Belt. I was just reading this today, like a couple hours ago. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the economy, how The deficit keeps going up. Nothing's changed. Mike, I can turn around and say Obama's a Make America Great Again and Trump's Hope and Change, because this is what we got. Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing. And to these people, and you said it yesterday, what has made your life, has your life improved since Trump's been in? Nothing's improved. Absolutely nothing. Like somebody called about the coal industry, the deregulation of the coal. Yes, so what's that do? Has energy prices dropped for the average American? But it's going to be a cold winter. The Northeast is going to be getting hit with cold weather this next couple of days or next week. But has prices dropped? Since if they deregulate, what's changed? Has prices dropped? Inflation's going. You know what I mean? What has changed to make the average American better off? Like you said yesterday, is your lifestyle better at this moment in time? And if you say yes, you're full of crap. If you say nothing's changed, then nothing's changed. Nothing. We're stuck in the same spot we've been in. Nothing's been fixed, Mike. No infrastructure's been fixed. Tom from Florida mentioned the Beast Train. How come that hasn't been stopped? The families coming over the border hasn't been stopped. The people who were killed in Mexico, the Mormons. Do you think actually anything's going to be done with that? Nothing's going to be done with that, Mike. Okay?
No,
Nothing.
I don't think so.
It's going to be forgotten about. It's going to be on next day's page. And that's all I got to say, Mike. I'm aggravated. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks an awful lot for the phone call here. And the New York Times is already out there trying to spin this attack on the Mormon family as, well, it's just religious differences and therefore not worthy of paying attention to. But there is a huge story there that is simply not being covered. One of the children apparently hid their siblings in the brush during the attack, and after it was all over, walked 14 miles to get help. Anyway, all right, let's go back to the phones here. Miles in Maine. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I think already what, and I like Dustin, don't get me wrong, but I think already what he said is shown to be kind of inaccurate because they've already made arrests in that situation, so we don't know what's going to go on. So let's just leave it at that till we do know. I mean,
They've
made
arrested
arrests.
a suspect.
Okay, that's pretty rapid, I'd say, wouldn't you?
Well,
Less than
apparently they
24
caught
hours?
this guy, and he had a car full of illegal weapons and a bunch of other stuff, and they arrested him on all that stuff. And then they said, I think this guy may have something to do with that attack on the Mormons.
Well, that's good. That's a great start. But I wanted to get over to Mark, where Mark was talking about socialism. And he points to socialism, and he points to Chavez, and he points to Gaddafi, but he points to the capitalist aspects of them, which has nothing to do with, is not socialist at all. Gaddafi sold his oil and put it back into his country. What's socialist about that? Nothing. That's what should be going on. And yesterday he commented on how Republicans were making money off of global warming. Last I checked, that was Al Gore.
Well,
So
everybody's
I'm not
trying to
quite
dip into the global warming hysteria. Anybody who can get a movement going like that, and everybody's going to be saying, how can I cash in on this?
Yeah, well, but Gore is the name brand that's been put out there and got the Nobel Prize and all this other crazy stuff. But then,
okay, now to be technically correct, Al Gore did not win the Nobel Prize. He showed up to pick up the prize for an organization that's connected with the global warming cult, if you will, but he himself did not win the prize.
Yeah, fair enough. He heads up the organization. I got you on that. You're right, Mike. And then Dustin mentioned he wasn't a lifelong Democrat yesterday, but healthcare and all that other stuff he mentioned, that's not covered by the Constitution. That's not a constitutional obligation. Then he said he was a libertarian. If he was a libertarian, then why didn't he vote for Ron Paul instead of Obama? It's interesting. He mentioned production's down, but Forbes magazine says it's up 31,000 jobs in the Trump's first 30 months of production, and it's up 6%, 60% over a period of time. MarketWatch has reported an all-time high in 2018. So Dustin might want to consider not listening to Drudge and looking for some other sources.
Yeah, I stopped following Drudge a long time ago. Anyway, listen, Miles, got to let you go. Got to take a break for commercials. Got another caller waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink for a gentle, taste great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to getthetea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones to Stuart in Florida. Aloha, Stuart. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, how you doing, Mike? I just have to challenge you. Your frequent references to fascism and associating it with what we have today. What we have today is oligarchy. And the difference is that fascism, which is the most hated ideology by both the left and the right, is an ideology of protecting the national culture and traditions of a country and subordinating the economy to that end without eliminating private property. What we have today is the complete opposite, the subordination of the country to maximum profits. Now, another common mistake that's made is, I think it was Dustin mentioned, corporatism.
Yes.
Well, corporatism is a form. It's a form. The question is, what is the content of that form? And it's different under fascism. Okay, it's true that big corporations were part of the government, but the question is, who is controlling who? And I maintain that it was the political side that was controlling the big corporations. It was more of a consultative situation. And the concept of corporations was also extended towards the arena of political representation, where things would not be organized territorially in terms of representation, but more towards, industries and occupational groups. And it's not surprising that the private banking system was eliminated. Germany and Hitler, Mussolini, same thing under Gaddafi, and I'll bet the same thing was true under Saddam Hussein. So when you talk about socialism, as Mark did, socialism is a total disaster because it ends up reducing everybody to the lowest common denominator. It destroys the individual.
Yes.
Under the present system, we have the destruction of the middle class by the oligarchs. So we have the other extreme under what we might call rapacious capitalism. And so, let me just give a couple of examples. More modern times, we see what could be called a fascist regime, not a socialist regime, in Libya under Gaddafi, where tremendous advances were made.
Yes.
Under Saddam, the richest area in the country. Yes, it was authoritarian, okay? But the thing is, we have so-called democracy, which our enemies love for a reason, because they can buy and sell these politicians and control the situation. Remember something, the West over 1,000 years was not built on democracy, okay? There was a certain responsibility that the aristocracy tended to have towards the peasants, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But, so I just use these couple of examples to show what fascism, the benefits of fascism. I know it's heresy, but I'm a heretical guy.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have
to
put you on hold. We got to take a break for station identification. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network.
Because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, the history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we're talking with Stuart in Florida about exactly what fascism is. And I think Benito Mussolini said it best. Fascism is the alignment of corporate and political power against the general population. And it was Mussolini who said that fascism ought to be more correctly called corporatism.
Correct, corporatism, but in the sense of a collective in terms of representation and of organizing society, but for whose benefit? And I think it's clear that the benefit. Well, I don't think so. I mean, look, Mussolini and Hitler got out of the Depression, unlike in the West. Okay.
Well, they did that not by going fascist, but by getting rid of the private central banks.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's not in the interest of the big money.
No, it isn't.
And this is the problem, and this is the tragedy of, in my opinion, of patriotic elements in this country is the harping constantly of small government as if it's this is what's going to save us. When I would say it's historically limited. I mean, it was valid in the era of small production in the 19th century. But we see what's happened with small government. It's what led us here. It left without a strong government, the money power takes over. So the issue is who's going to lead the country based on what ideology? I mean, to go to Trump right now, just to show how ridiculous the system is, people voted for him to lead the country, and then he's got to go to Congress to get approved his secretaries of and attorney generals when he needs these people to carry out what the voters wanted him to do. You got this committee of monkeys in the Congress, a bunch of whores, mostly, and they're obstructing him. The thing is, if you vote for somebody to lead the country, let them lead. Just let's have all you need is a mechanism to remove somebody from power, as is what happened with Mussolini during World War II. And there are safeguards. Everybody's armed, okay? And but leadership, not this like what we have now. But my main point is that the goal of fascism is preservation of national culture and traditions without eliminating private property. So your thoughts.
The goal of fascism is to consolidate power and wealth into a few hands.
Well, how do you account for all the benefits under Hitler's government? The introduction of the 40-hour work week, the tax benefits to the working class so they could do things like take vacations, that if they had more children, their tax benefits would be reduced. They cleaned up the workplaces. They were among the first environmentalists, to protect the environment. And then you see what happens with Gaddafi. Gaddafi wasn't all socialist. There was private property there. And yet there was political direction for the economy. It wasn't just make a buck and that's it, maximum profits. It was constraints on capital.
First of all, I question you're describing Hitler and the Nazis as a fascist government when they called themselves socialists.
It had a different meaning. The idea was more of collective. When you see that there was private property in the country, they worked against the interest of capital and for the benefit of the general population, which is why Hitler had so much popularity. I mean, they loosened the gun laws under Hitler. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Same thing under Saddam Hussein. I mean, you could walk around with an AK-47. You could just go to the store and buy one. They didn't fear the population.
No, they didn't.
And yeah. So, right, that's why I think fascism is mischaracterized as oligarchy. There were tremendous benefits, under Hitler, and they cleaned it up morally and spiritually compared to what was going on in Weimar Germany.
Again, Hitler's government was not fascistic; they were socialistic. It's right there in the name. You know, in the Nazis, the National Socialists.
Yes, it was a name. You know the historian Oswald Spengler, a very conservative guy. He makes the same point that I make. It's a name. What were the actions? What were the actions? Okay, socialism had a different meaning. You know, it wasn't a Marxian sense of socialism. And you compare life in Germany to life under Stalin. It was totally different. In fact,
yes,
there's a good little couple of speeches you can get on Amazon. Probably still get it. A couple of very good speeches by Goebbels called "Communism with the Mask Off," and he directly addresses this confusion between communism and what they had in Germany. Socialism also is not national by nature; it's international. So they were using socialism for, I don't know. I mean, the communist movement there was pretty strong. Maybe they used it for propaganda purposes. But the bottom line is, what were the actions taken, and what was the composition of the economy? It wasn't all up. I mean, there was private property there. You know, I mean, it was.
Well, the economy was based on the fact of getting rid of the private central bank and replacing that fiat currency with a currency that had a commodity base. In the case of Nazi Germany, it was a unit of labor, and it worked. Germany's economy, once it was free of the private central banks, it just exploded. They called it the German miracle.
Right, and the conditions of the working class there improved. Which,
yes.
if what you're saying, shouldn't be true. I mean, if it was just, more intense exploitation of the population, that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the case. And as I said, I maintain that Gaddafi's was a fascist regime as well as Saddam, because there was political direction to the economy without eliminating private property. And for those of you who want to read a little bit more, even on the philosophical level, there's a great little booklet. It's not easy to find writings about fascism. It's been totally, we get the Hollywood version. But there's a great little booklet you can get. It's very cheap. It's called Essays on Fascism. You can get it on Amazon. They have some good stuff in there. But most people, they don't know anything. They think fascism is kicking the doors down and the corporations and oligarchy. It's a very simplistic view, because people don't have access to a lot of this information, and anyway, I don't want to take up all of your time here.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot, Stuart. We're going to let you go here, and we're going to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. And back to the phones to Mark in Montana. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Michael, how you doing?
Doing okay.
Okay. Well, I wanted to touch on two things. I think the economy is doing, miracles. I think it's awesome right now. Even though I've lost my job because I'm in the oil industry and the oil prices are way, way down, and they laid a bunch of us off, and I just got to be the lucky one that doesn't have a job anymore. But I'll get back to it. There's plenty of work out there. Also wanted to touch on the difference between socialism and fascism. And I had a teacher in college that said, here's the difference between the two. A fascist lets you keep your factory as long as you work and produce. If you don't, they'll drag you out and shoot you and put another person in charge. Socialist, you work for the state. It's mine. It's collective. All the money goes to the state, and that kind of system just doesn't work. I'm not saying I'm a fascist or I support fascism, but I am saying that there's a big difference between the two. It's who controls the resources and who allows you to control the resources. So that's all I've got, Michael. Thank you for listening to me.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Al in Canada. Aloha, Al. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I'm not going to go off topic. So all I really kind of want to know is all of these isms. Why would anybody want to go down the road we've already gone down and proven has, just can't work? Why don't we do something absolutely different?
Well, that's what
Why
the
do we have
founding
to keep going down these silly
back in
roads we've been down?
1776.
Jacques Fresco comes to mind.
Yeah.
You know, and his ideas on how to run things. Why do we need politicians?
We don't really.
Yeah.
I mean, back when the nation was founded and it took days to ride from the several states to Philadelphia, the politicians were supposed to be our representatives, where we would tell them in the district, this is what we want. They would go to Philadelphia, later Washington, D.C., and say, okay, this is what we're voting for. Unfortunately, the politicians have evolved to be their own little ruling class. And as one of the other callers said, they're available for sale.
Of course. Everything's for sale, Mike.
Yep.
You know, that's how we survive. We do one of two things usually. We'll buy or, you know, trade, barter, whatever, the things we need, or we'll do for ourselves.
Yep.
Whatever that may be it become a farmer or something, whatever, right? You know, raise chickens, you know what I'm getting at. But the thing is, the role of the politician, if I want to buy like a dozen eggs, I'll drive to the place where I want to buy a dozen eggs. I don't need a politician in between that transaction.
Mm-hmm.
And in the purest form of capitalism, everything is for sale. So why would we even want to do this sort of stupid thing again? Like cash, we're going to use what? Currency, cash, credits, whatever you want to call them? Is that what we're going to do? We're going to do that again? You know, it's just over and over and over and over again. We keep talking about the same stupid things that we've tried before, and it doesn't work. It never worked.
No,
Why do we
it didn't work in the Soviet Union. It didn't work ultimately in Nazi Germany. And part of that is because there is this perpetual ongoing war between the fascists and the socialists.
You know, it seems to look that way, Mike. And you know who's losing? People are losing.
Yes.
I wish they'd wake up. I mean, a lot of your callers call in and they have awesome, excellent points. I'm not going to talk about the points I disagree with. I want to talk about the points I agree with. That's where things should go. Not kind of get offended by what some other person said or, that person's wrong about this and that's... No. We're doing that. That's ass backwards. We should talk about the things that we all agree with.
Okay.
Because we already know about the things we've talked about, and it didn't work. So let's talk about the things we do agree with. It's so simple. Human nature has to change.
No, you're absolutely right, because all of these systems we talk about, all these isms we talk about, whether it's communism or fascism or capitalism, are only as good or bad as the people who are in control.
Absolutely. And it's never worked. Why even keep talking about it? Talk about doing something different, right? Like what Jacques Fresco talked about. You know, let's see what we have and let's see what we can do with it. Not make plans pie in the sky, people get paid off and all this other jazz, this nonsense, these lies, this deception. Let's just go down another path, and that's the truth. Let's find out what we're actually doing here. Otherwise, we're doomed.
Yes.
One way or another, we'll be doomed. Anyways, I appreciate your time, Mike. You have a good show. I'm going to listen.
All right, thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to Image in Vancouver. Aloha, Image. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Well, I'm listening to all this stuff, and there's a lot of good points. A lot of people make a lot of good points, yeah. But I think that, like, I live in BC, and we've got BC Hydro. We've had it for decades. Government-owned, provincially owned. We had low rates. We were the envy of North America for years because we had low rates. We had good employment. People working for BC Hydro made good money. They lived here. They spent the money here. So we had a good standard of living. It was good for the consumer. It was good for the people working there. All I'm saying is that not everything should be owned privately. I think look at Norway. They took control of their their oil.
Yes.
And they get a surplus. What, $1 trillion for 5 million people? Well-run country.
Yep.
I think we should look at them and see how and why, and can we apply that to our country, to our system, Canada? Resources coming out of our yang, but mismanaged, because we should be where Norway is, or better. We got more resources, but we sell them off to other countries, to private companies. They basically rape the country. A lot of times they'll leave a mess, and the government has to clean it up.
Yep.
So not everything should be owned, and same with the banks. I think if your central bank was owned by the government, and now it lent the money and it collected interest on that money, and that money would go to the government, we could have lower taxes.
Yes.
So,
I don't
not
think
saying
that's necessarily
no
a
communism.
guarantee, because the government will always find something to spend the money on. I remember when I was living in California, and they brought the California lottery into being, and they said the reason we're doing this is the money that the lottery makes is going to go into our educational system, which everybody said be a good idea because our educational system was not properly funded. And then as soon as they got the lottery, the state government basically decreased state funding to the public schools by the same amount they were getting from the lottery. So we had the lottery and all of the things that went wrong with the lottery, and the schools really did not benefit from it at all.
Well, I agree with you, but that's mismanagement. Idea was good.
I agree.
It was mismanaged, and somebody allowed it to happen. So was there corruption? Did somebody get paid off? How can if they've done the same thing here? I mean, all the governments do that. You're absolutely right. They've done that with the gasoline tax. That gasoline tax initially was supposed to go for building roads.
Yes.
Now it goes into general revenue, right?
Yes.
And they keep adding more to it. So, yeah,
well,
out in
California, their gas tax is now being diverted into the light rail system.
Well, but that's wrong again. I mean, that's, I think that's mismanagement, and it's allowed to happen. Why is that allowed to happen? That's the question. How can that happen? But it does happen. Absolutely. I understand. So anyway, my point is that I think the system should be somewhere in between the capitalism and socialism. You're always going to have some people, like here in BC, you've got homeless coming out of Yang, just same as you guys. And there are three categories. There are the ones that are mentally ill. There's the ones that are drug addicts. And then there's actually people that are working for the minimum wage, but they can't afford to live on that wage.
Yeah.
And those people that are actually working and they can't afford, I'm 100%. There should be co-ops. There should be some kind of subsidized housing, because they're trying. They just and not everybody can be a doctor. So those people on that bottom end, they're working. That's fine. I was actually 13 when I came to Canada. I came out of a communist country, 1968, when the Russians got into Slovakia. Anyways, in that communist country, again, not everything was bad about communism. Did you know there was no welfare in communist country? You had to work. If you had a passport that got stamped every month, and if the cops pulled you over and asked you for the passport and it wasn't stamped, you better have a good excuse. And if you didn't have a job, they would find you a job. And if you didn't want to go to work, they would throw you in jail. And and when you went to jail, you had to work. There was no free stay in jail. You had to work, and you had to pay for your keep. And then if you had something left over, then you got to take that with you when you got out of jail.
Okay, well, Imrich, we got to let you go. We got to take another break for commercials. Right. We'll be back with another phone call after these few words.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat, very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay, unemployment getting.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're going to go back to the phones to Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael. Good day to you. Yeah, Michael. The first hour seemed like the Trump bashing hour. You had a couple good calls. Miles was a really good call. It's every day. It's like, Trump hasn't done this, Trump hasn't done that. But, Michael, and Dustin did call in about the beast train. Yeah. Well, you never even heard really about the beast train until Trump became president. So, Michael, I want to ask you, Dustin and Mark, they both live in states that their vote will never count. In other words, if they are conservative, they live in New York and New Jersey. Those states are gone. Look what Virginia. You saw the vote in Virginia yesterday?
Yeah, I
did. That place used to be a red state. Now that state's going to be blue. You got the attorney general, and now the whole state's nothing but a blue. It's going to be another cesspool. It's going to be another taxed out state like New Jersey, New York. Dustin comes from a state where you got Bob Mendez, you got this guy Murphy for governor. Those criminals. Why doesn't Dustin talk about that? That guy Mark should be talking about de Blasio and all those leftist Ocasio-Cortezes in New York. Okay? So these guys live in states that are so blown out liberal, and now Virginia is going to go totally liberal, and that's going to be another disaster, that state. The thing is, Michael, that one of these guys can understand. Yeah, Trump ain't no Teddy Roosevelt. We already agreed to that. But the guy is trying to do something. Even if the main thing, Michael, the media hates his guts. So that's the biggest thing to me right there. And, you know, the swamp and all that, the sewer, whatever you want to call it, you got the squat, the squid. I mean, all these demon rats. Look, you know, Michael, like you always say, these people are flooding our country. They're flooding this country with all these illegals. They're not becoming Americans. They don't care about Anglo culture. They could care less about the founding fathers. They don't give a damn if this country falls on its face and turns out to a third world banana republic that they're running away from. As long as they have food on their table. It's all about the food, Michael, basically. Because a lot of these people, these people come to these countries, they don't have nothing to eat. I can tell you. I can verify it. Believe me. Now, you know, getting back to what's going on here with Trump. Yeah, Trump is not Teddy Roosevelt. He's not Ronald Reagan, maybe. But, you know, Trump has done some good things for this country. Number one, he's talking with these angel mothers and fathers that no Democrat wants to talk to. Pigs Pelosi doesn't want to talk about the angel mothers and fathers who lost family members have been murdered. I mean, Trump at least goes out there. Look at, you had Kate Steinle. Now you got the Smiley Tibbetts. You got all these Americans. And you know what's funny, Michael? Let me ask you this. What's going on with this Mitt Romney all of a sudden? He's on the news, all the news networks. What's going on with that?
I think Mitt is, yes, I think Mitt is toying with the idea of stepping into the 2020 race.
Well, I tell you what, I agree with you, Michael. But I'll tell you what, he'll never win. He's a knucklehead. But really, he's outspoken about all these 9 Mormons that got murdered in Mexico. So now all of a sudden they have him on Newsmax talking, well, that should never happen. Hey, Romney, what did you do with the picture that made you the president of the United States? When you buy a picture that you could have proved that Obama was with Louis Farrakhan and all the schmucks would have stayed home and not voted that night in the election of 2012. Now this guy, the 9 people, that's horrifying what happened over there in Mexico with those young little kids getting murdered. That's disgusting. Disgraceful. Okay? But, you know, if Hillary is president, Dustin, what would Hillary be doing? Or Joe Biden or Pocahontas or any of these Democrats that are running against Trump? Would they say anything? They would be not saying a word about what's going on with Mexico. You got at least Trump going out there saying, we need to go to war with these people because this place is a disaster area. You know, listen, look, right now what's going on with the Cuba situation here in Cuba, Trump's basically telling the people, you're not going to go back there and take thousands of dollars worth of goods back there. We're going to tax the living crap out of it, and you're not going to fly back there for $250. Now you're going to pay $800 to go to Cuba back and forth. I mean, you know, this is all about, you know, people, these guys, callers are calling about communism. Communism is no good. And if you want to talk about fascism, let me tell you something, Michael. I'm not a fascist, and I'm far from it. But I can tell you what, as far as Nazi Germany went, we would have never won World War II without Detroit, Michigan. And people would call back in those days would have called it a fascist city. We would have never had NASA. We would not send a man to the moon, I don't believe, if it wasn't for the fascists. I mean, there's good and bad in everything.
Again, the Nazis considered themselves socialist.
Well, that's correct. You are correct there. But, you know, Dustin and Miles was great because Miles basically understands there's a balance. You got to have a balance. It's like a scale. You got to balance it out. And, you know, listen, Trump is we agreed, Michael. He's not Ronald Reagan in a lot of ways. He's not Teddy Roosevelt. He's not even Eisenhower in some ways. But, you know, at least Trump is giving you something. Hey, look at Virginia, Michael. Virginia is gone now. It's a blue state. What, 20 years ago, that was a red state. Texas is going to be the same way. California is gone. Why? Because these lily whites, I don't know what you call them. I call them betrayers of our Constitution, of our government. They've allowed these states that were beautiful states at one time are becoming third world ideologies. I mean, like I said, when all these cultures came through Ellis Island, they all assimilated. They became Americans. They wanted to pledge allegiance. They believed in one language, like you say, Teddy Roosevelt. They believed in one flag. It's not happening anymore, man. You got these people coming in and want to fly there. This flag from South America, this flag from Mexico, this flag from... I mean, it's just absurd. Dustin's talking about the beast train. I'm the one that brought it up to him about the beast train. Go see the movie Terminator, and you'll see what it is. And that movie's a joke in a way, but, you know, look at Arnold. He had an affair with a Mexican woman and a kid. So that's what the movies are basically about.
Okay, Tom, stay on the line. We're going to put you on hold. Got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're on the phone with Tom in Florida. And Tom, I get a lot of callers who call on in and say, Trump is doing all these wonderful things over the horizon, far away where you can't see it, but take my word for it. And I think going into next year's election, the voters basically need to say, is my life, that of my family, my business, my coworkers, my friends, is it actually better since Trump took office? And if the answer is no, and it certainly is in my case, then you have to look at who's running against Trump and say, what's the likelihood they can bring about change that benefits me personally? Because frankly, going back to 1994, this government has not been very good to me.
Well, Michael, can I say this? Last hour you had a caller. I'm not going to mention the name. You had the last hour you had a caller said there was a woman, a nice lady who called in yesterday to your show, and said she was wrong on everything. I don't believe that. I believe that lady, they could compromise. I'm guaranteeing he'll find out she's probably right on 2 or 3 or few things. Okay.
Yes.
For the lady that called yesterday's show, she wasn't wrong on everything. You had a caller an hour ago say that she was in the first hour. No. That lady was not wrong on everything, whoever, and I know who said it, but I won't mention the name. I'll leave that alone. Now, you're talking about with Trump. Well, I'll tell you what, Michael, I live in South Florida, and the gas prices have been pretty stable since he's taken office. I remember when Obama was president, it was $1 more an hour. $1 more a gallon. Okay. I think Trump's also has to help people with their wages hourly. I know my hourly wage has gone up since Trump's been in office. I can tell you that quite a bit. Okay. So I would say, yeah, Donald Trump's done a lot for me in the financial aspect of it. Now, last hour, you got a caller said a lady called in yesterday and she was wrong about everything. I know. I think actually that guy would have talked to her. They would probably maybe promise on some things that he's actually done that she agree with, and he might even totally agree. Because remember, these states these callers are calling in from, their states are gone, Michael. Your state of Indiana still, you have a vote. You can either be Republican, you can be Democrat or Independent, and your vote mainly counts. You got states where these people are calling in, their vote doesn't even count. Their vote's useless. They live in useless states as far as their vote. That's why they call in. They don't want to vote because they don't have an opportunity to vote independent or Republican or Democrat. Now look at Virginia. You're going to see that state's going to crumble down in 8-10 years. That place will be another New York or New Jersey. Taxes up the butt. Everybody's going to want to flee out of there. Now they're going to be heading down to Georgia. I mean, come on. This is like a game being waged here with those leftist Bolsheviks, I call them. And, Michael, let's talk about Virginia. Look at this guy, George Soros. He pumped in hundreds of thousands of dollars for a guy to get elected attorney general in the state of Virginia. Explain that to me, Michael. Why did this guy Soros, why is he being implemented so much in our election? Why hasn't he been arrested? He can't even go into Hungary, this guy Soros. But he's going into Virginia, pumping in hundreds of thousands of dollars to get an attorney general elected because it was a Republican. Now it's a Democrat. The whole state's Democrat. They don't even have one attorney general that's Republican. No. New York's the same way in New Jersey. Look at where he comes from with Bob Mendez. Look at the governor of that state of New Jersey. That guy's a liberal kook. You might as well go over there and hang out with Pelosi and Schumer and all these other freak shows. I mean, and this leftist party that we got created in this country. You got that Cortez, I mean, Michael, we got to look at the big picture here. This country's going to become, like you had a couple calls, we are going to become a third world banana republic here if this continues. Absolutely. And look at you. Yes. You lived in California, Michael. You know what used to be happening in California. Now, it was the land of milk and honey, the 15th largest economy in the world. Now, what is it? It's destroyed. It's in shambles. It's in shambles, that state. New York and New Jersey ain't much farther behind. Look, Trump even said, I have to leave New York. I'm not going to be paying all these crazy taxes. I'll move to Florida. I don't blame him. Who put up the weather and the heating oil? No. Maine's the same way. The whites are fleeing out of that state of Maine like crazy, Michael, and I told you that yesterday. I got friends over there. Minnesota's the same way. Illinois, they're all fleeing to Arizona. I can tell you thousands of people every day are leaving that state of Illinois heading to Arizona. Why? Yes. Because their local governments are run like total corruption. Like you said the other week ago, you got people in California that are not even legally citizens or in these councils, city councils. Did you not say that, Michael?
Yes.
You did. You did say that.
Yeah.
And you said that.
I did say that. We reported on that.
State of California, you people have illegal aliens on the city council, but you don't have American citizens. They're getting federal government jobs. Why? Who's allowing this? Who's behind this? And look, we talk about the state of Israel. I hear people calling it about Israel. Well, you know what? Israel doesn't allow 2-3 million Muslims to move in there. They sure have a wall around Israel that, by the way, we're paying 60% of the American taxpayers are paying for their defense fund.
Yes.
We're paying 60%. My money's going, 60% of all us Americans are paying taxes. Our money's going over to Israel so we default the faith for their defense fund. That's absurd. And the same ones are then you got these leftists over here in Hollywood. I mean, it's crazy what's going on. How they're even the filthy movies they're pumping out in the leftist slant they have in all these movies. It's so absurd. But you have some callers that I have nothing to say, nothing bad about anybody. Everybody has in this country. You know what? I might not agree with what you say, but I'll fight for your right to say it. That's all I can say. I don't agree maybe with a lot of people that have to what they say, but I'll fight for their right to say it because we are living in the greatest country in the world. We have a free press, supposedly still, your voice still, but now it's getting taken away with these demon rats. I don't think we're going to have freedom of press in the next 10 years. If this people like Virginia happens and all these other states start falling like dominoes. And Michael, me and you totally agree that Texas goes blue, and that's what these demon rats are trying to do. It's over in the electoral college, man.
Yes.
You're looking at civil war here. As far as the ideology is going. These people are not coming here to compliment. They're coming here to lunch and take our jobs. Listen, I got to ask you one more thing, and I'll let you know the other callers, Michael. Why are these people all coming in here? They hate the white man, the white gringo, this, that, the racist, the whitey's racist. Well, why you come here then? If the Afro-Americans don't like it, why are they here? If they hate white males, so white men, I haven't done nothing to nobody. And you know what? I know for the last 100 years, I mean, there's been bad problems in this government. Absolutely, I totally agree. But you know what? I think everybody's trying to be, copacetic. Everybody's trying to get along. I mean, we have a free government. You can go vote, supposedly. I don't even know if that's how corrupted that's been. Looking at this thing in Kentucky now, you got with the governorship in Kentucky, it's all absurd. It's totally absurd, Michael. But you know what? We live in the greatest country on earth. We have, the main thing I look at, what you say about Teddy Roosevelt, we have one language, we have one flag, and we have one cultural identity. But we don't have the cultural identity anymore. That's being taken away from us. They're stripping that away first. Then they're going to go after the flag, and then they're going to go after the language. It's exactly how the dominoes are going to fall. And you know what? We cannot allow that. We cannot allow that. And you know what? Michael, you've talked about on your show, Chicago, okay? Chicago is a beautiful city. I mean, absolutely great city. But look what's going on over there. Look at a crime.
Yes.
Every weekend you've got to talk about 20, 30, 50 people shot. What's going on? And that's only one city. We're not talking other cities all over the United States. Something has forcefully got to be done about this to stop it. And it ain't taking guns away.
No, that's not going to solve the problem.
Absolutely, you won't stop that problem. No way. What's got to happen is you've got to have adults in the family telling what's right and what's wrong. The kids are not even being taught what's right and wrong anymore. The social media has gone off the charts. It's gone nuts. I mean, kids used to go out and play. They used to, build stuff. Now it's all on the computer. It's all on the iPhones. It's gone absolutely nuts. It's awfully nuts. And I tell you, we don't have the greatest president in office, that's for sure. But we have a guy that was way better than the alternative of what we got, Michael. And I'm pretty sure you agree with that. I don't care if it's Hillary. I don't care if it's Pocahontas, this guy Biden. Any of these people are running for office right now in the Democratic Party. They're all kooks. They're total kooks. If one white male in the Democratic Party talks about anything that's to the middle, this guy's considered a Ku Klux Klansman. Or he's a Aryan Nation. Am I lying there, Michael?
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for that, because that weighs on me. Because that weighs on me. Seeing if a white Anglo male is in the Democratic Party, wants to do some conservative stuff like Trump's doing, he's totally obliterated. He's annihilated. Oh, this guy's an Aryan Nation. He's a Klansman. He's a kook. He's a religious fanatic. I mean, it's never ending with this crazy media we got controlling. Look, Ted Turner said it. I don't agree. No, only one thing I ever agreed with Ted Turner. He who controls the media controls the mind.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's going on in this government right now, in this country. You have other callers who call in and do this, and they bash this, and this guy's done this, and this guy's done. Listen, like I say, Michael, you live in the state of Indiana now. In that state, you at least have a vote. In those other states, these people do not have their vote. It doesn't count. Even if they go to the polls and waste 10 hours there, their vote doesn't count. If they only waste 1 minute at the poll, it doesn't count. It's a Democrat blue as far as when you look at the electability of a state that you've got to go vote at. And that, to me, is utterly disgusting, too. Especially when those states were actually conservative at a time. Now it's like, ooh, we're gonna take Whitey down one way or another, and it's gonna be through the vote. That's why they're trying to take Whitey down through Texas, Michael, and you know that.
Yep.
Your heart of hearts, you know that with the modus operandi is to take that state of Texas. They tried to do Florida, but it didn't work here, and it ain't gonna work here, not for a long time. I can tell you that. Texas, I pray to God, I think those people are gonna really wake up, because we cannot allow this. Does Texas want to become California, Michael? Do we really want that?
Nope.
For our country, our great country? No, we don't. It's a shame that New Jersey and New York has gone to that degree, but they have. Virginia now. Who knows? They're probably now. I don't know about Kentucky, but they'd like to turn all these states into these cesspools of liberal fascism. It's sick. It's really a sickness, and let's just hope to God that the people in this country, or the silent majority, really becomes the majority. I remember back in the 70s, the late 70s, right when Reagan was running, because Reagan was a Democrat at one time, Michael. You know that.
Yeah.
And Ronald Reagan saw the light, and then, of course, he won in 81. And, hey, he's basically was telling you, is this what you want? You want another 4 years of Jimmy Carter? Go right ahead. Vote him in. You think this country could have stuck another 4 years of Jimmy Carter? I don't think so. It would have been total chaos. We had interest rates at 21%. There's some people, your callers remember that? I remember what Jimmy Carter did. Okay? Now, the guys up there in the Northeast, they had to realize, you want a guy like Jimmy Carter? Then you'll be calling the Michael Show every day complaining, ooh, these Democrats are totally insane. I mean, I would not live in a state where I'm getting taxed to death like that. No way. Yes. Especially when I get a freeze. No way. I'm out of there. I'm gone. I'm hitting it. So let's just see what happens. It's, I pray for the best, but Michael, like I believe you believe, we got to pray for the best and hope for be prepared for the best and hope, hope for the best and be prepared for the worst. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Get it out. Hope for the best and be prepared for the worst, because it's getting to the point. I don't know what's going to happen in the next year or two. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be really a nut show. What's going on with all these cookies? So, I just pray that.
Listen, Tom, I've let you rant long enough, and
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And we're going to switch over to Chance in West Virginia. Aloha, Chance. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, hello, Mike. I'd like your opinion, you being in the radio talk show business. I've noticed what's always fascinated and perplexed me is that each and every caller practically does make good points, okay? But there seems to be a lack of unity. Now, Tom, for instance, is right. New York, New Jersey, California, now Virginia, they're shot. I don't think they could be brought back. I think they're shot. He's right. But, excuse me, where I disagree with him, not him in particular, but the mindset, is we keep comparing Trump to lesser people. Now, a true champion aspires to achieve. In other words, you don't compare, well, it could be worse, we can have this person. I mean, that's not the way to think. Do you agree with me?
I agree with you.
I mean, you have
Trump
to aspire
president. He's president,
yes.
And he's either going to do the job or he isn't. And I'm not interested in excuses about, oh, the swamp won't let me. That's like first grade talk on the playground.
Well, see,
Mike, I wanted to do this, but they won't let me.
Yeah, we've been throwing crumbs for so long, the American people, that, we're ready to say things like, well, at least we're getting crumbs. No. That's not the way to think. Like I said, you have to aspire to accomplishment. If you're going to compare this president to somebody, compare him to somebody who could be great, right? Not an outright communist and say things could be worse. You can always say things can be worse. It's like saying, look, I could read a paragraph, but Johnny can't even read a sentence, so I'm better than him. I mean, that's not the way to aspire to greatness. And that's the problem I have. And it's not particularly with Tom, because he makes a lot of good points, too. Each and every caller does. I might disagree with some certain points they make, but basically they've all got something to bring to the table. And I learn from them. But the mindset that we're conditioned to accept crumbs, and when somebody throws us a crumb, we're grateful. We've got to get over that attitude.
I agree.
Because they never change. This is why they continue with this game for all these years. Now, I noticed Tom mentioned Reagan, Eisenhower, and Teddy Roosevelt. Now, there's things in their background, see, that aren't too reputable. As far as Eisenhower killing all those German people in the prisoner of war camps, Reagan was a phony who I thought was a conservative. I mean, I voted for him, but he wasn't all he was cracked up to be neither. I mean, we're satisfied with mediocrity to such a large degree that we compare our leaders. We don't hold their feet to the fire to make them aspire to accomplish more for us, and that's the sad truth.
Yep.
And that's why
You're absolutely right. We've allowed our expectations to decline. By the way, Alan Canada called back in and said, Jimmy Carter didn't jack up the interest rates. Paul Volcker did.
Well, you see, everybody's ready to blame the other guy and everybody. No, this is not the. People have to take charge, grab the horse by the reins, and take charge. And we don't seem to have these people anymore. And this is why we don't have
Chance,
unity.
I gotta let you go. Got to take a break for commercials. More callers waiting on the line. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right. Construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check. But there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we've got a caller waiting on the line. Joe in Tennessee. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I feel kind of
funny, yes, I called yesterday about ABC and Epstein, and although they're rotten people with ABC and all that, and they did kind of assist in Epstein getting away with this kind of stuff. Really, I feel bad that I blame them as much as really it's up to the FBI and the Department of Justice to really do their job here. I can blame ABC. I can blame, the Epstein's neighbor. I can blame the guy at the local, donut shop. But really, who's supposed to protect us from people like Epstein is the FBI, the Department of Justice, and the law enforcement in Florida. It just shows how absolutely corrupt the Department of Justice and the FBI is, and it remains so to this day. That Epstein wasn't really dealt with, even with Trump as president. He was allowed to be murdered in his jail cell if he wasn't really allowed to escape. Under whose watch, Mr. Barr? ABC. The more I looked at it, I feel like I was manipulated, by going along with it. I mean, they are culpable in that they should have reported this, but really, they're not the real villains in this whole saga. They are a bit, but the real villains is Mr. Barr, and the Department of Justice. I mean, who else? They're the people that are supposed to deal with criminals, right? They're the ones that are supposed to arrest them and prevent the people from being exposed to billionaires to go around raping young women. There's a lot of hypocrisy out there with the Me Too movement and, the ABC, I guess you get angered about the hypocrisy, but let's lay this, and I'm doing a mea culpa. I should lay this where it belongs, and that's at the feet of our corrupt Department of Justice, which is still corrupt. And it's a shame. Once again, I don't know what you do in a country that has no real Department of Justice. How do you get justice when your Department of Justice is so corrupt? That's a question that throughout history is answered by revolts and revolutions.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Earlier you were, and I hate to see it happen, but it's inevitable. I mean, I really do, and I've said all along that Trump is our last chance. And I think Barr is failing the country and failing his president and failing all of us in that, the whole thing is such a farce with Epstein. It really gives me little faith in any of the other criminal issues that are around us. And then when you think about it, Trump's got Giuliani in there, and he was right in the, knee deep in the whole 9/11 fiasco and fraud. And, how can we really expect justice after what they pulled on 9/11? So,
the other thing
I
to
don't know
remember,
if you want to hold me over. I hear the.
No, actually, we're going to go with the guest in the third hour, and
okay.
But Epstein was running a blackmail operation. That's all he was about. He wasn't an
that seems pretty obvious now. He must have all of the Washington under his in his Rolodex. That's what it seems like.
What's a Rolodex?
And ABC, I guess George Papadopoulos was involved with him. And, Bill Gates with MSNBC, right? So he's got plenty of media people. He's got the goods on him.
Joe, we have to let you go.
Yep.
We have to let you go.
Bye-bye.
Be right back.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 3. And joining us for this hour is Dave from Crucial Nonsense. And we sort of have a joint rant going on because it's taken me far longer to get all of this equipment, the mixers and computers and everything, back up and running than I anticipated. And frankly, I'm exhausted. And it's just very, very frustrating trying to get it all working, and then something will change. There'll be an update, there'll be a patch, and it's all broken again. So, Dave, you said you had some comments on that.
Oh, absolutely. Good to be here, Mike. Yeah, it has gotten absolutely ridiculous. I've been doing this computer thing going on 4 decades. And I remember what these things used to be, and they were a lot more cryptic and harder to work with, but at least when you finally solved your problem, it stayed that way. It was a very static environment. And as we have gotten farther and farther down the path here, you would think we'd be very enthusiastic about the new power and features of all this new technology, but not so much so, not really. As the technology gets smarter, smart technology, it seems to be dumbing people down. It's this great oxymoron that's out here. And the farther we go in here, it's more of the same. In the best case, some of the stuff actually works pretty good if you're using absolutely optimal conditions. I think your cameras are a really good example of that because, when you've got the good lighting conditions, the autofocus generally works pretty good. But if you start getting out on the fringe a little bit, you're having to sit there in fool with it, like what you're doing right now, to try to get the focus back. And I remember the days with all the manual cameras, and yeah, it was a little bit more work, doing the light meters, setting the f-stop, and getting your focus just right. But you could guarantee that the picture you were about to take would have those settings. Now with these digital cameras, you never really know what the heck you're going to get. At least it's cheap enough to snap about 20 pictures and hopefully one of them will come out the way you want it to, because that was never the case with the 35 millimeter. We had to be very careful about, okay, do we really want to commit this because we only got 23 exposures left? Click, okay, here we go. Now I could put thousands of pictures on the phone. I've actually come to think maybe one of the things to do with that is to shoot 4K video for some stuff and just grab the best still frames out of it, and that worked really good for a thunderstorm that I videoed about a couple weeks ago. It was pretty neat. Anyway, this technology is very frustrating. I can't even imagine where it's going to be in another 10 years if this trend continues. The stuff just keeps breaking. One of the things we've been dealing with one of the clients is trying to get a static audio feed on this computer. Trivial when your computer is behaving the way it should. Even your Windows 10 laptop would behave better than this thing. We would get everything fixed at the end of the week. All is good. Sometime during the weekend, the Windows 10 update would fire, and it would pull out all of the settings for the entire computer, pretty much start you back over, and we had to start the next week back where we were when we first started this project. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And this has gotten old. This is a big, gigantic productivity drain. And I wish we had the metrics to really put a dollar figure on how much money all of this is costing us. Because it seems to me that we spend more time working on trying to get the technology to be able to work for us than the technology actually working for us, that we would probably be better off just throwing it all out in the yard and just going back to pencils and papers and slide rules and figuring it out like we used to.
Yes. Well, computers can be very useful, but I think certainly at the consumer level, they've become decadent. And the companies are out there trying to market new product because people aren't buying the new product, but they're out there marketing the new product saying, well, this will now do this, and our newest iPhone, our newest smartphone rather, can take pictures of the stars, and they just go on and on and on. But I think those of us who were first in with the iPhone realized very quickly all those apps that were on there we'd play for about a month. And then after that, we just went back to making phone calls and browsing the web and sending and receiving emails. We really didn't need any of that other stuff.
It's fun toys, with a few precious exceptions. There's a couple of apps that I use darn near every day, like the Radar Scope Doppler Weather Radar app. It's a handy tool. For $10, I have gotten so much use out of that thing. It does all the level 3 stuff. You can look at the velocities, and if you're really into the weather. And being in the area of the country that we're in, we get these tornadoes popping up, and we get these severe thunderstorm supercells that we really got to kind of keep an eye on, so we've got a little heads up to go, okay, time to go in the basement and hunker down in the closet or whatever it is, because we don't get a lot of warning on that stuff. Thankfully it's a little bit more warning than they get for the earthquakes, but nowhere near as much as you get for the hurricanes. So, if you're not paying attention, you can really get caught flat-footed on this. So there definitely are a lot of uses for the technology. And if it wasn't so decadent, and I think this corporatocracy, or whatever we were talking about, for the past couple hours on here, because, this is core to the problem. And what's going on with the technology is just as much a symptom of that as all these other things. Just like government being too big and bloated. As the technology has bloated and bloated and bloated, our computers really aren't doing that much more for us than they were 30 years ago. Your word processors and your media is higher resolution and some of this stuff is better, but it doesn't really, in comparison, run all that much faster, because back in the day, you flip your computer on, come back a couple minutes later, it'd be booted up. So now with all these libraries and this extension and that extension and all this stuff for the operating system, you come in, you turn your computer on, and you're going to have to wait for a couple minutes for it to boot up. So you're really not getting any gain in speed. I remember back with the TVs, the color TVs, the black and white TVs, the cathode ray stuff back in the 60s and 70s. You'd flip the thing on, and it would take 5-10 seconds to start warming up where you could see the picture. Okay, you figure, okay, we're going to get around that. And as the CRT technology increased, they did eventually solve that, where you turn the thing on within about 2 seconds, you could watch your TV. And it was pretty awesome when they got to that stage. And then, drum roll please, smart technology arrived. And we got these flat panels, and you figure, oh, these are going to be so much more awesome. You turn the bloody smart TV on, and it takes 5 minutes for the thing to boot up. And then it's got to update this, it's got to update that, and then you can finally watch TV. We're going in the wrong direction for this stuff. If it keeps on this direction, you'll have to turn your TV on and come back next week sometime.
Or just leave it up and running the whole time.
Yeah,
even with our smart TV, we'll be watching a TV program, and all of a sudden it pops up this requester right in the middle of the picture, right in the middle of what we're watching, and says, the Smart Hub has finished updating, close or run. And there's no way to disable that or to say, do it during, the station breaks. And I think...
Oh, we can have that. Oh, no. We got to watch those ads.
And I think the attitude problem is with these newer devices is that we know better than you do what you want. One of my pet peeves is, and we just went through this with the latest iPhone update, they don't really improve anything. They just move it all around and put new buttons on it to make it look like it's something brand new. But functionally, it's pretty much the same stuff.
Yep. It's bloated. We move things around. We put more things in there, but you don't really see them. Maybe there are more things in there. One of the things when we were diagnosing what was going on with this Windows 10 machine out in the field, we were looking at all the various processes running. And I remember, what number of processes should be there for the Windows XP and then the Windows 7. I really haven't been paying attention too much since then. I've been trying to get away from the Microsoft. But we looked into this, and over 500 processes were running on that computer that had nothing to do with any of the functions. Those 500 odd processes were all the error reporting, all the stuff that was reporting back to Microsoft, and monitoring the audio devices, monitoring your keyboard, monitoring this, and phoning home with absolutely everything that the computer's doing. So the computer's running slow and having problems because it's spending 90% of its CPU cycles reporting back to the mothership. And so this bloat, they've hidden all this nefarious stuff in here. And if you really look at it and dig down in there and start trying to examine it, you'll see where they're talking about, keystroke logging. Okay, we were kind of taught that, the keystroke loggers, this is malware. This is a bad thing. This is a horrible security violation. And we're supposed to keep our passwords private. We're supposed to keep our bank accounts private. We're supposed to keep all this stuff from getting out and being used by all the criminals. But yet, all of our tools these days are spying on us and giving all of this information to God knows who. We certainly can't trust Microsoft or Google or Facebook or any of them because they've been compromised, and that's just assuming they're all wonderful, upstanding people. They still are horribly irresponsible with their security, so we're basically selling our soul to them. And, I hope your security is good today. It certainly wasn't last week, and we end up getting burned. How many of these, Equifax-type hacks are out there? How many people have gotten their identities stolen and their bank accounts emptied by all of this? And with all this security and homeland security and terrorism, we're going to spy on you to protect you from what exactly? You certainly aren't protecting us from identity theft, ransomware, and all the criminals and stalkers out there. And all of that goes unnoticed. I have a theory on that, though, and I've said this before. I think a lot of that they're involved in the first place. Like the Equation Group, the NSA, the CIA is in here, doing all these criminal things to make the excuse for, we need security. Just like the whole 9/11 thing happened. The 9/11 thing happened to catalyze the nation. Now we have the excuse to bring in our police state. So it's more of the same. It's absolutely disgusting. It's so counterproductive.
Well, it's not just the privacy violations and the vulnerability to cyber criminals. The fact is that all of these companies now view your data as a resource to be exploited, to be sold to advertisers.
As their property.
Yeah.
We own your data. We own your computer. You don't own it. You're just leasing it from us now. We own you all. We own all of your ideas. Like the ancestry thing, you send them your DNA, they own your DNA. I think that is one of the most ridiculous things ever. They patent your bloody DNA. So don't ever send your DNA off for those tests, ever, unless you want somebody else to patent your DNA for you. These people are just overreaching over and over and over. And this bloat is what's hiding all of this stuff from everybody. It's the same thing with the government. Because we've got this federal government that is just ginormous and so bloated that it's hard to be able to get your head around just how much corruption and how much thievery is going on with it. And they can hide all this stuff in here with their hundreds of thousands of pages of laws and little loopholes and red tape that it's such a Charlie Foxtrot that not even the lawyers understand it. It's definitely a system of the scammers, for the scammers, by the scammers.
Yep, I agree. But unfortunately, computers have become an indispensable component of ordinary life here in the United States. And I know there's a lot of people are talking about, let's get rid of the computers and go back, to manual typewriters and so forth. But by the way, I would love to have a manual typewriter. Years ago, I had this wonderful little Swintex spin writer that I used in conjunction with my regular office computer. And sometimes it was just much more pleasant to just, throw in a piece of paper, spit out a letter, put a stamp on it, put it in the mail, and we were gone. And today it's just this huge, complex situation of load the letterhead and, bring up the editing software.
Yeah.
And it really is. We're actually spending more time working on our computers than our computers spend working for us.
Yeah, exactly. And I wonder what that costs the economy. Not like the economy's stable at all, but all of this is by design. And then all the products that we're getting, all these whiz-bang, the iPhone and all that stuff, it has a very short, finite lifespan on it.
Yes.
Because in the next 5 years, that brand new spanking iPhone you just spent $1,000 on isn't going to work anymore. It's going to be absolutely worthless. It wasn't all that long ago, Mike, that the concept of spending $1,000 on a piece of hardware only to use it for a few years would have just been, no, I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous. But here we are. That seems to be the norm. I'll just throw another $1,000 at it. And if we had a healthy economy and we had everybody fully gainfully employed, being able to be, productive and, saving up and having their retirement accounts and everything wonderful, our economy could support something like that. We would have all that excess money to throw at all these frivolous little toys, and it wouldn't be such a big deal. It would still be pointless and counterproductive, but they would be able to keep doing that pretty much ad nauseum because it wouldn't be a squeaky enough wheel for us to really care about it. But with so many people at the edge of starvation, at the edge of homelessness, even with working 3 jobs, how in the hell do they expect this to continue much longer? We've already seen that the consumer economy is starting to tank. It looks like we're going to have just a real lackluster, nothing of a Christmas season, and that's unfortunate. That used to be one of my favorite seasons ever, but what they've done with the over-commercialization of it, they've lost the entire point. The point of the whole Christmas thing, we were supposed to take a little season and take a step back and love one another and be a little bit nicer to each other. That's what it was all about. And hey, if we get to have little toys and give fun things to each other, that's all fine and good, because it's always nice when you can give something thoughtful to somebody, and that smile that you get on the other end is kind of a big, huge, gigantic payback for those of us with a heart. But we've lost all of that, and so it's sad.
Okay, well, we have a caller on the line here, Chris in Clearwater, Florida, and he wants to talk about old computers. Aloha, Chris. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, have either of you heard of the website where a lot of these primitive home computers can talk to each other through a Raspberry Pi? It's called errata.online. Have you heard of that?
Not specifically, but yes, I do kind of have a concept of what you're talking about, because these older computers actually can still do quite a few things. You don't have to run the latest big bloated operating systems on them. You can throw, smaller versions of embedded Linux on them. And I've gotten a lot of mileage out of computers that I've had, for 20 years. It's ridiculous to have to keep, buying the same thing over and over. And the Raspberry Pi, especially the new Raspberry Pi 4, hell of an upgrade on that thing. That thing is right at the level of a low-end desktop computer. And I am thoroughly, totally impressed with it. With what we've been trying to do with the Raspberry Pi project, being able to build a client-server, server-client, both on the same box, on broadcasting appliance for all the broadcasters, all the YouTubers out there, to be able to, proliferate a platform that gives us the independence and the sovereignty to do this stuff. And cheap hardware like that is going to be key to it. And it's not just the Raspberry Pi, because this software would run on your older computers as well. We don't have to use the latest bleeding edge stuff if we use efficient software.
Exactly. Let the internet be kind of a cloud software server, and errata.online, that's IRATA.online. It's really amazing how these 30, 40-year-old computers, people are still developing for them, and they're still, like on my old TI computer, I still check up and I'm amazed to see that somebody just duplicated Dragon's Lair, which was involves a lot of video digitization. Yeah, and that's on a bare bones system without any upgrades to it at all. Just the cartridge allows it to digitize video and audio. I didn't even know that the audio chip was capable. The audio chip's only able to make 4 tunes or 4 notes at a time. Well, I don't have any idea what sorcery is this that they've been able to digitize with it. So,
Well,
I'm glad
I
to see
actually kind of
people
do
are.
understand that sorcery a little bit, because if you can get the computer running a machine code fast enough, you can get a fast enough sample rate on that where you're changing those four voices frequently enough that you can actually, simulate the PCM that we have on our digital audio converters now today. I remember the old Commodore 64 days, and Mike knows what I'm
Yes, I
talking
do
about
too.
here.
All right, well,
They
Chris,
were able
Chris and
to
David,
take some of
Chris
that.
and David, Chris and David, I got to put you on hold. We got to take a break here for commercials. We'll be back with the two of you after these few words.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're talking, first of all, with Dave from Crucial Nonsense and also Chris from Clearwater, Florida. And we are reminiscing about the good old days of very small, very simple, very easy to understand computers. And frankly, a lot of us miss those old days. And back then, the computers were built very, very well. They were trying to establish a new industry. And so they didn't get into the planned obsolescence thing. And as a matter of fact, I had a Commodore VIC-20 that was still running when I left Oahu. And you certainly don't see that anymore with the modern computers.
No, you don't. And that VIC-20 is still running right here in the shop. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. And one of these days, I'm going to bring it back over to you. So, yeah, the Commodore 64 was pretty neat. We were talking about the audio and the voices because somebody had figured out how to use those three voices in conjunction to be able to actually do a digital representation of a actual recorded track like the PCM that we use today in our sound cards. And I remember my Apple II. You might remember those Apple IIs.
Yep,
the Apple
I had an
II,
Apple II.
The only thing it could do to make a sound was just make a click. That's the only thing you could do programmatically is to make it click. And if you had machine code and you could make it click fast enough, you could generate whatever tones and whatever stuff. And again, you could start even simulating voices. On the Commodore 64, we had a voice synthesizer that could actually talk. It wasn't beautiful, but it was understandable. And this thing had less than 38 kilobytes of RAM to run, and it could talk. So why do we have to have gigabytes and terabytes if they could do that? It's all about the methodology of the programming. Since the computers have gotten so fast, the developers have gotten just absolutely lazy. I remember the first compilers I was using. I could write a little hello world, program, and I was just, livid mad that it took 30 kilobytes of code to say hello world. Now, it would be more like 30 megabytes of code just to pop up a box and say hello world. 30 megabytes. I mean, what the heck has gone wrong with it? No wonder why we have to get newer and faster computers. It's this decadent, bloated software that's been pushing that along.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that's very frustrating to me because I learned programming at a very early age. I learned Fortran 4 on an IBM, 1103, I think it was. Then, of course, I had the Commodores and then the Amiga. And they were good program development environments like Linux. And today, trying to put together any kind of an application on Windows 7 or Windows 10, it's like you have to jump through so many hoops just to get anything to code up there.
Yeah, it is absolutely ridiculous. But before we get too much farther on, we don't need to leave Chris out in the cold. Chris, do you have any more comments for us?
Sure. Well, Mike and I had talked about this before, Dave, that these older systems like Commodore were open systems, unlike today's systems, which are closed. But that was the problem with the TI. They had great technology. They had great speech compared to any other system at the time, speech recognition even, but they were a closed system that only developers who bought licenses from TI could develop software with the base language machine code that crackers later discovered existed. It's called GPL, it's graphics programming language. But developers like Intel, Atari, Microsoft, Parker Brothers were the only ones who could develop with that, take full advantage of all the TI's capabilities. And that's what caused it to die because, people were using systems like the Commodore where they had the schematics, they had all the nuts and bolts to innovate, to develop, to be creative. And, we see that closed systems die. They're doomed to die eventually, even Windows. Mike, you mentioned that they're shipping now with a Linux kernel. So that shows they're trying to live in both worlds somehow. I don't know how, but, this old technology could do what today's technology can do. It just took a lot more money, because the silicon and development cost a lot more back then. Only universities had that kind of technology. So it's not that really technology has increased. It's just that the prices come down, making it a lot more accessible.
Yes.
And I think that I hope that Windows, being a closed system, is doomed to failure. And it'd be really nice to have schematics for my computers once again. I don't see a great push for that, but that's what I would like. What do you think about?
What's the point of having a computer if you can't write software to get it to do something that you want it to do, like an antenna controller or early robotics systems. That's the whole point of having a computer, is you can program it. But that's now being taken away, and our smart devices are being turned into just another appliance, a smart appliance, but you're not allowed to get on in there and try and tinker with it. And I'm not talking about nefarious behavior. I'm talking about, this belongs to me. I should have a right to go on in there and tinker with the code. Anyway, Chris, we're going to let you go. We got to take another break for commercials. We got another caller waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs, memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. And we're still online here with Dave from Crucial Nonsense. Dave, I understand you had a response to that last phone call.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris had some good points there. The TI, very interesting platform. You know, it was really cool. But what made our decision to go with the Commodore was the fact that you had the schematics and you had this memory map that had
Yes.
all these functions laid out, which made it a whole lot more interesting. We were able to do something completely non-nefarious. The Commodore 64 was limited to 8 little graphic sprites. And for those of you that don't know what that means, it's just little icons basically that you can move around the screen over the text and all that. It's very useful for games and things like that. But you were limited to 8 of them. But because we had that memory map, we could go in there, we could find the raster interrupts and swap out your sprite banks. As the scan lines go down the screen, we were able to have 64 sprites on the screen at the same time. And we could do stuff like that. Yeah, we could do stuff like that. It was not a approved thing that they ever thought of when they designed the computer. We were able to innovate. It's not about doing nefarious things. We want to be able to take these machines and make more out of them. And yes, we've got these closed platforms. The Microsoft's the big one. Apple, hey, I'm glad they have a BSD core, but it's all closed source. You'll never get to look at any of it. The open source community, however, is still very much like those Commodore 64 days, that they give you the source code on that. The source code is available for everybody. You have a community that helps each other with various aspects of the code. We all contribute to the project, and together we make this project. That's what Linux started out as and why it came up out of nowhere and is what it is now today. And the software that we're using for this broadcasting is also open source. And because it's open source, I've been able to work with the community to customize some of the features and add things in that we've needed to do our broadcast, which is now in the mainstream code and on 1 million different computers all around the world because of open source. So I'm a huge proponent of that.
So am I. So am I. Now, of course, we're talking about people who are ready to basically go on to the inside of their computers and talk to the bare metal. And obviously, there's a certain amount of education regarding learning how to compile, how to install, and so forth. And maybe the vast majority of people just aren't interested in learning how to do that, and the industry is responding to that. In the case of Apple, their being closed source has more to do with security than anything else.
And I can appreciate the security aspect of it, but if you do your security right, you can have completely open source software where everybody understands what it's doing and everybody's above board with it, and you can secure the heck out of it. And even if you've got the source code for it, you can't find a vulnerability in it because it's out there, and you have, not just a few developers and one company looking at it, but you have an entire community of people looking at it and trying to tear it apart and finding all the problems. So it's kind of a give and take. I can see the justification for trying to keep some stuff from getting out in order to expose vulnerabilities. But how about we just engineer things that don't have vulnerabilities and ding, problem solved?
Well, that would be the ideal solution here. The problem is that from the corporate point of view, it's get the product out now, get to market first, get the majority of the sales, and then somewhere down the road, we'll fix all the problems.
Yeah. And that's worked out so good for us. That's why we've been spending so much time babysitting our computers and rebooting every 15 minutes to make the stuff continue to work. That's a broken paradigm. We need to get away from that.
We absolutely do. All right, we're going to take another phone call. Glenn in Michigan. Aloha, Glenn. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Doing all right.
Listen, I'm 62 years old. I been dealing with computers since I was a young kid, right?
Yeah.
My first computer I messed around with, I bought a Timex computer from Kmart.
Yes.
Where you could program clock and all that stuff. Then I went on to DOS and all that. Then I went on to the billboard. I'm sorry. The billboards, to download software and all that. The thing that I disagree with a lot of your conversation about tonight, I run like 5 computers here, and I trade for a living. I don't understand why you guys are using Windows 2010. I just run Windows Server 2008 with R2 release, and I turn off all the services. I haven't had a single problem here in 5 to 6 years. I don't get what you guys.
Well, I don't know about Dave here, but Claire and I got committed to the Windows platform because her music software will only run on Windows. My animation and modeling software, same story. So we're kind of hardwired in to Windows. But then every time they change Windows, some of the older software stops working anyway. So at some point, I'm probably going to do a complete overhaul because I'm not really in the animation business anymore anyway. We'll just see what's going to happen. But we're sort of stuck with Windows, and I wish there was a better alternative. I know that Mac's a better alternative. They're also more expensive. And certainly here in this part of Indiana, getting support and service on any computer is a very difficult prospect.
I will say, Glenn, that the server products that they have are quite a bit more stable because they have to be. They're enterprise grade. 2008 server has been out long enough. They've patched everything, and it does run relatively well. But unfortunately, a lot of the consumer end user software that people have to use isn't really necessarily going to run on the server, and the server licenses are more expensive and stuff like that. And all these computers you're going out and getting at Best Buy and Walmart and stuff like that are all coming with this Windows 10 stuff, which is an unmitigated disaster. That's why I haven't done Windows in a very long time. When I did have some Windows in the enterprise many years ago, it was always the server level stuff, and it always did work better. You are correct with that. But that's not what you have for all of the vast millions of users out there. They're not going to be able to just, I want my computer with Windows Server 2008 on it. No, you're going to have Windows 10, and you're going to deal with it until they decide to change horses and change it up on there. So, yes, I'm not going to argue with you. Windows 2008, as far as the Windows platform, is stable by a great order of magnitude above Windows 10 and even Windows 7. That 2008 it worked pretty good.
Well, let me ask your guest this. So why should we not be promoting this to the general public?
Well, we can, but again, with the licensing costs on that and whether or not they're still even selling 2008, that would be kind of hard to say. We're still, faced with an uphill battle on that. It's still closed source, and then they do kind of, herd you into, you have to use this software. Like, I will give you an example about the Microsoft software and how much more bloated that is. SMTP, the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol for sending emails. We would use SendMail and all these little lightweight things on Unix long before Microsoft ever came along. And then Microsoft comes along and comes up with this Exchange suite. And it turned the mail server stuff into a Charlie Foxtrot of code, and you had to have pretty much a full-time person back in the day to manage your Exchange servers, because they would run for a few days unattended, but if you let it go more than a few days, you were having to have somebody in there working on it entirely too often. It's going the wrong direction. This was, when we started getting the first email viruses out there. That used to be a hoax on the internet, but somebody at Microsoft, hey, email virus, active content, that's a brilliant idea, let's do that. They've been going the wrong direction with it all. They're not adopting the keep it simple, stupid methodology. They are still, even with their server products, making it more and more and more bloated. You have to have more powerful servers, multiple cores, multiple disks, gigabytes and gigabytes of RAM. That's not necessary. It's going the wrong direction.
Let me give you an example. And I understand exactly what you're saying. The only reason I use Windows is because I trade. And the software platforms I use, that's what I have to do. Otherwise, it would be full Linux. But
absolutely, example, I got you.
I needed a media player, right, for my television, right? And so for $200, I picked up a 4-core Intel chip, 128 gig of boot drive, 3 terabyte storage drive for $200. It worked great. I had to go in there and clean up all their crap in there, but I think they got the whole public fooled.
Yeah. See, Glenn, you've got an advantage above all these other users. You've got the experience and the know-how to take these things, clean them up, get rid of the bloat, and make them run the way they're supposed to. The end user does not have that experience. They do not have that understanding. And in order for them to get that done, they're going to have to rely on somebody else that's going to have their hand in their pocket. Hey, we'll do it for you. Bring us a couple $100 and we'll make your computer run a little bit better. Some of them are reputable. Some of them are not. You're kind of rolling the dice unless you have an established relationship, with your, computer service company. You're taking your security and your money in your own hands, whether or not you're actually going to get something that's worthwhile. So I'm glad you got the ability to do it, and maybe we should put our heads together and figure out how we can put together some courses to get people on the path to be able to have enough knowledge to be able to do these things.
Well, I agree with what you're saying but I think we're dealing with a generally dumb public. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's what the mainstream is leading us to believe, that they're all idiots out there. The mainstream is telling us this. And they've lied to us about everything else. And my interactions with people, there's some real idiots out there, but there's also some pretty smart people out there, more than what they would let us believe exists. So I think we put this stuff out there, and the people that have the brain power and have the knowledge and desire to be able to do stuff like this will go right for it. And the dumbed down masses, whatever number they are, will continue to be herded off into their slave labor camps, and they'll do their, rinse and repeat stuff, and the rest of us can start building something for the future. We can get on with more productive things rather than just a rinse and repeat, stuck in the mud, doing the same things over and over again. It's not getting us anywhere.
I agree with you 100%. I do not know how to go about it.
Well, I don't have all the answers either, Glenn, but, we need to keep talking about these things, because together we might be able to figure something out.
Listen, I talked to, I have several close friends that are my age. I'm now 62 years old, right? I explain all these things to them in detail, right? And they go, yeah, I get it, but they don't practice it. So, even the people my age will not practice what I'm telling them.
Yeah, people are lazy. What can I say? It's an instant gratification world. We don't want to do the work. We expect somebody to do the work for us, and when it's not right, we complain.
It's very sad. We have a bigger problem than what you're talking about. It's a much bigger problem.
Oh, it's systemic. I don't deny that for a second. It's a huge problem.
Well, what I think is really needed right now is we need a very simple computer that is going to make it easy for kids to learn what's going on inside that computer. Now, I remember early on when I was in a position to teach people about computers, I used this analogy of an old-fashioned post office, with all the boxes on the inside of the wall, and this postmaster who just constantly sleeps on the floor until he's kicked awake and everything. And basically, people would get it, how the data was being moved in and out. But today's machines are just so complicated. Unless you take a college course, you have no idea what's going on inside there.
Yes, Michael.
No,
when I used to teach people how to use their computers, I was in the business. I would just make it simple, just like you said. I would tell them, this is a giant box. There are folders here, there are folders here, and that's how it works. And they would understand that. But yes, it's what has happened. It's become laziness, I think, and I blame. I do not blame this on the children. I blame it on their parents.
There's enough blame to go around. That is definitely for sure.
There is. Anyway, Glenn, we're going to let you go here because we got one more caller waiting on the line, and we are coming up on the end of the show. Ken in New York. Aloha, Ken. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, guys. There was I remember reading about a emulator for Unix that ran Windows programs. Did any of those programs ever mature?
They really didn't work all that well. I mean, they would run the simplest Windows applications, but some of the more sophisticated software, like for example Maya, wouldn't work on those emulators. And in any event, when you're running an emulator, it slows everything way down.
It's easier to run a virtual machine, like run a VMware and actually run a real bona fide copy of Windows to be able to run Windows applications. That's still not the most efficient way to do it, but if you need just 1 or 2 Windows apps and you're running a Unix system, you can certainly do that. The QEMU and the Wine, it has matured, but like Mike said, the more intense software, you're probably going to frustrate yourself to death with it. It's better just to have a true native operating system on that and just be done with it. Like I said, a virtual machine, you've got the Oracle VirtualBox, which is mostly free. You've got VMware that does that kind of stuff. So you've got some options there.
I have one notebook that has a Windows 10 on it that I use for. It's just a notebook to experiment with the latest software when I need it. But most of my I have several computers, and I still have Pentium 4s, and I've been using Opera for the last 15 years or so, and I've been able to stretch out the usefulness of those machines. And I would have to move to Unix the next time around. I really don't like Windows 7 through 10. I think they put too many gadgets on the Windows.
I would agree with you on that one.
They have.
All right, Ken, we're going to have to let you go. We got to take a commercial break, last commercial break of our show today. Back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Well, Mike unmutes himself.
While I unmute myself.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it all sorted there. When you get the new mixer or the old mixer back in there, everything will be back to normal, and it'll all be good.
Yes, it will, and that's going to happen this coming weekend. And after that, Claire will be able to share the microphone with me again. But this last hour, Dave and I and the callers who called on in are remembering a time when computers worked for us, not the other way around. And as a result, computers were fun. They were fun to have. They were fun to play with. And, you know, it's not like we were doing anything nefarious. I, on my Commodore 64, wrote a program to solve what's called the Pentominoes puzzle. And especially searching for the elusive 3x20 solution. It finally did, but that was kind of the adventure. What can I get this thing to do? Okay, Dustin wants to know if Commodore Amiga or IBM was better. The Amiga, no question.
Hands down.
That was a groundbreaking machine. I was actually a developer for that, and it was a groundbreaking machine. And I had like 3 of them, and I really did love that machine.
Oh yeah, they were fantastic, amazing, video boxes for back in the day. There was bleeding edge technology, light years ahead of the media capabilities of the IBM. Now the
it's
IBM
still very
PCs
popular
have
in Europe.
eventually caught up. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Not one little bit. Okay, I'm going to throw out my email address for you guys, because the reason I'm going to do that is, Glenn had some good points here, and we've got some really intelligent callers in here, and we need to start, having a dialogue with each other about these problems to try to figure out what the best way for us to start solving these problems. So my email address is really easy, david@crucialnonsense.com. Send me emails, and we'll interact in email, and at some point, next time we have a slow news day, maybe we'll get back on. We'll readdress some of these things, and we'll address your comments and the questions you have in email. Because I'm just trying to help you guys out, because I see what a minefield this computer technology has become. It's really getting kind of dangerous out there. This cyber warfare and all that stuff. So anything in the realm of technology and internet and all that, let me know, and we'll address it.
Well, thank you very much for that. And yeah, I know we keep coming back to this, but especially this last couple of weeks, it took me years to put together this whole computer studio, mixer, everything. And then I had to tear it all apart on a Wahoo. And now I'm trying to put it all back together, and half the stuff is still in the boxes. So it's very frustrating. And
Yeah, it certainly is, and I feel for you on that. And if I was any closer to Santa Claus, I would have already come over there and helped you sort all that stuff out. So,
you're always welcome, and I do appreciate it. But anyway, there's our music. Time for us to get on out of here. Please stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word about RBN. Please spread the word about whatreallyhappened.com, and we'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.